Welcome to Aston Means Business, SMEs adapting to COVID-19 challenges. I'm Steve Dyson, the journalist presenting this regular podcast for Aston Business School. Our podcasts are focusing on the huge economic disruption caused by the coronavirus pandemic, and we're talking to businesses who've been involved with various programmes at Aston Centre for Growth and elsewhere here at Aston. They'll discuss their challenges, share their experiences, and explain how they are adapting to the new business world emerging in the wake of the pandemic. We're also interviewing some of Aston Business School's top academics and experts, getting their valuable insight, analysis, and advice for SMEs. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at the experiences of Special Kids Company, a business that supplies adaptive and age-appropriate clothing for children with special needs. We'll be exploring how this company has seen a rise in the demand for its products, and we'll be looking at how it's adapted to supply those demands in COVID-19. Please bear with us as we're still carrying out all our recordings remotely online to make sure we conform to the government's safe distancing advice. Professor Mark Hart is with us today. He's the Professor of Small Business and Entrepreneurship at Aston Business School, and he's going to comment on the experience of Special Kids Company. Hello to you, Mark.
Hi there, Steve. Good to be in contact with you again.
Always good to speak to you. Joining me online now is Sasha Radwan. She's the Managing Director of the Special Kids Company. Hello to you, Sasha.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, and thanks very much for joining us. Sasha, briefly tell us a bit more about the Special Kids Company. When was it launched and what exactly does it do?
I set up the company in September 2013. I launched the company March 2014. And the company, Special Kids Company, is designed to provide clothing, adaptive clothing for children with special needs. So the clothing is essentially baby grows for children over the 2 to 3 year range. So most children are toilet trained by the age of 2, but if they have a special needs condition, they either are delayed, there's a development delay in getting them toilet trained, or they continue repeating certain behaviours possibly for the rest of their lives. So it is an expansion of a baby grow, but it's supposed to be age appropriate and functional, not just a normal baby grow that you would put on that wouldn't look good on a teenager, for example. So we spent the first couple of years making sure that we got the production right, that the style was right for the child and their needs. And then the second thing that we worked on initially was to make sure we got our customer service right and the reach for customers that we were going to target.
And in terms of your customer base, Sasha, where is it? Where are most of your customers? And how many staff do you have?
So the customer reach, we at the moment, 7 years later, we now cater for customers all around the world, but predominantly our customers, 60% of them come from the US, about 35% in the UK, and around 5% around the EU and the Australian market. And at the moment, I have 2 staff members and 5 freelancers who work for me that I've managed to collect and train over the last 6 to 7 years.
So already with the 60% in the US market, your international reach is impressive. How have you managed to attract those customers, in particular the ones in America?
Well, that's quite interesting. So I come from an international background myself. I was originally born in Australia to Egyptian parents, but I've also lived in the US and the Middle East as well as in the UK. So I understand how people from different countries shop, for example, and I think that's what's really helped be able to reach more customers. So in the US, for example, customers are not terribly familiar with non-US suppliers. So I understood that they shop specifically from Amazon. So we made sure very early on that we managed to put our products on Amazon, and that's how we were able to reach them. We also use Facebook targeting, where normally you would have them come to your website, which is what we do in the UK. But for the US, we target them to go directly to Amazon, and that's how we're able to reach them. The other way that is we use PPC, which is pay per click. So if a customer's looking for certain products, our listings will rank higher in order for them to find it quicker.
I understand. So, Sasha, what are the main things you've benefited from after being on the Aston programme for small business growth?
I found the course to be very, very useful. there are a couple of areas where are not my strengths. For example, finance. And I'm the one who kept trying to think I needed to do it. But I understood that I needed to outsource that and being able to find the experts who can help me. I also understood that it was really important to strengthen my foundation. I think generally I'm very good at putting the systems in place, but strengthening that foundation of having all the systems and automating things as much as possible and delegating it, essentially letting go so that the people who know exactly what to do within the business just run with it. So I think they're the two things that I got out of it the most.
Excellent. And one of the main reasons for this podcast, of course, is to find out how companies are adapting given the impact of COVID-19. So with that in mind, Sasha, how has COVID-19 affected your business in terms of orders, stocks, demands, and the way that staff are operating, etc.?
Yeah, we're very fortunate because it is an online business, and I think because everybody has been in isolation, they've had more time and also more resources, I guess, to be able to do more shopping. So for us, 2 weeks before lockdown, we got our shipment. We got 4 months worth of stock. And we didn't expect it, but we've actually sold out most of that stock within 2 months. So for us, it's been very positive because our customers tend to be time poor because they're usually the primary carer for that child with special needs. So we've like I said, we've been very fortunate that our sales have increased. And what that does for us, it's not a case of that will dip. What it's done for us is increased our database, therefore our pipeline. So this time next year and so forth, when they're going to need more garments as their child's grown, it's helped us grow the business faster than we planned. But in terms of the office and the staff, we didn't reduce hours. We were able to work from home. So other than shipping garments, everything could be done from home. So then we took turns of who was going to go into the office to do the delivery. So we scheduled all those things into place so that people took turns. And we have enough space that social distancing wasn't an issue. So one person at a time needed to be in the office as long as deliveries were done. That's how we got around it.
So listening to you, Sasha, COVID-19 not only gave you a bit of a fillip in your sales and your revenues, but you feel that might be ongoing because it's brought you new customers who will be new demand as time goes on.
Yes, Steve, that's right. That's what we are expecting will happen as a result of the lockdown.
And with that in mind, with your expansion continuing and even growing because of COVID-19, what's next in your expansion plans?
We've got a lot to do. So even though we are doing very well in the UK and US, we do want to reach the European market base again, through Amazon, through using the FBA, the fulfillment by Amazon service. So our operations person will be focusing a lot more on getting our listings user-friendly for Amazon, but also translated into the local language. We also want to be we have two, what they called 3PL, so they're third-party logistics company, one in Australia and one in the US. So the next step for us as our volumes increase is to have our factory send stock directly to the third-party logistics warehouse and replicate the website so that people can buy in the local currency from a local warehouse.
How complex is it, Sasha, for an SME like yours to cope with all the different regulations that international markets bring, including the language changes for search terms, etc.?
Well, there's a lot of, for a lot of online businesses, there's a lot of freelancers out there with the specific skill that we would need. So, for example, translating into the local language, they would be able, you couldn't do, for our industry, you couldn't translate some of the difficulties that parents face just on Google Translate, but being able to find a freelancer who can do that for you, who will tailor the text to suit the language for that parent to understand that their child, for example, is smeared. It's about getting that right. And I do understand that, again, from coming from a cultural background. In different countries, they use different words. For example, in the UK and Australia, we would say a nappy, but in the US, they use the word diaper. So we do understand that that's the difference that we need to accommodate for. Second of all is finding very good lawyers who can then help you with contracts with different suppliers or retailers in the different countries to navigate across those borders.
I understand. And in summary, Sasha, what would you say has helped you most to keep the business growing whilst COVID-19 is carrying on during the lockdown? And what tips do you have for other companies?
For me, the most important thing is about having a really good team. So hiring people with specific strengths that they can use in specific areas of the business. And two things happen as a result of that. One, they love what they do. And the second thing is we get the results that we need because we can turn around responses and customer service very quickly. The second thing I would say is a very good up-to-date database that I think has been the foundation of what's allowed the business to grow like it has. Keeping it fresh, we have an email marketing specialist in our team as one of the freelancers. It's keeping the information that we send relevant. We keep our customers up to date with everything. We have formed a community so people know when a new style is coming. We do ask them if they want to see a particular color. And we use that feedback. For example, we only did up to a certain age for children. And they said, well, when do you make the next size? And that's what we've done. So now we cater for an older market as well. So it's a really good team and a very good database. And being able to connect with your customers is the most important thing that's allowed us to grow.
Sasha Radwan, Managing Director of the Special Kids Company, many thanks for joining us on today's podcast and best wishes to you and your company in the future.
Thank you, Steve. It's been a pleasure.
So still with us on the line is Mark Hart from Aston Business School. Mark, the Special Kids Company, it's yet another example of an online retailer that's seen substantial growth during lockdown. Having consumers spending more time at home in front of laptops, it's been positive for digital sales, hasn't it?
What I really like about Sasha's business is the niche. I mean, obviously, she is herself a very sort of outward looking individual, and that's translated into her business as well. But she's got a very niche product range with a huge global market. And, even before the COVID-19 crisis began to really bite, she's running her e-commerce business online, really a truly global business. But I think you're right, Steve. What's really happened here is that with a lot more people going online, perhaps looking for these niche products, it's really important. But can I just say one thing, though? Niche products and more people spending time online don't sell themselves. There's something else that needs to be happening. And what's clear from listening to Sasha is the whole emphasis on the marketing that's been taking place and the way she's been able to adapt to the range of the cultures of countries and global regions that she's selling into.
Absolutely. I mean, Special Kids Company, from what Sasha was saying, they're talking about Facebook targeting to drive US consumers to Amazon shopping and pay-per-click advertising. It's some revolutionary stuff for some businesses, for traditional businesses. What else do SMEs need to think about when they're going online, especially with international markets in mind?
Too many businesses, small businesses, because they're online, they think that's it. They don't understand that the amount of marketing that needs to go on the back of that is really where the effort needs to come. Getting your business set up online is one thing, but actually driving customers to it is another one. And you've really got to have the right sort of skills around you and really experts in online commerce because it's not something that many founders know how to do. And I think, again, what Sasha was bringing out in her interview was the importance of getting the right team put together, people who understand SEO, they understand, as you've said, the importance of Facebook, and understanding the differences in languages. The comments you made about diapers and nappies is pretty apt, and a very simple example, but it's really important that you actually connect with your potential customers immediately. And she gets it. And I think, if you think about her background, she was born in Australia. She has that sort of, she's been working and brought up in Egypt and those connections. And, these give people different mindsets. This is something my own research brings out as well, that, internationally mobile individuals, when they settle in the UK, they actually have a different mindset than from our indigenous entrepreneurs who've all spent all their life here. And again, that's what Sasha brings to the table as well as an entrepreneur, based in the Midlands, and obviously having worked with us on the Aston Small Business Growth Programme.
Yes, when you're thinking about specific terms in a foreign language, you can't just rely on Google Translate, can you? You've got to use a freelancer with that local language knowledge.
Well, yes, and I mean, we've worked with many translation companies over the years at Aston, actually, and again, you sort of think, well, translation's to a penny, but it's not. When you actually sit down and work with a company, and that's their only business, you suddenly realise that there's a whole, range of skills that you need to make sure that, you're making the right translation, you're actually making no mistakes at all in someone's natural language, their first language. It's really, really important not to make those mistakes. And that's what separates out the successful global businesses from others who are just, if you like, trying to do it on the cheap, translating some of their web pages into different languages, but not paying attention to the detail. Detail is everything. And there's a huge level of competition in global marketplace, especially with e-commerce. You have to have everything right. And Sasha gets that. The amount of time she's actually had to spend, and we didn't tease out the amount of budget she commits to this, but it's not inconsiderable to get that expertise, baked into her business. It's really, really important.
One of the interesting things I found out about what Sasha said was how this wasn't just a short-term boost to her sales, but by quickly adapting supplies to demand during COVID-19, she created a new database of clients who will come back for more. This was real growth, wasn't it?
Well, this is also an important aspect of how one can scale a company. You see, we've probably all in lockdown been sort of clicking on businesses we never thought we'd click on, whether it's independent food providers or particular products. And perhaps everyone, well, they should be looking at various the best quality masks you can get for out and about. But the key thing is, the entrepreneur, and I say that with the businesses I've been sort of working with from my own personal point of view, they see you as a one-off customer. They don't actively talk to me. Of about half a dozen companies I'm using at the moment, there's only one has an active email conversation with me. Not sort of dear Mark, but say, hey, look, I haven't seen you for 7 days. You haven't put an order in the last 10 days. Is there anything you've been looking for that we haven't got? And that is how you use a database. That's how you use data to the best effect of your business, rather than saying, oh, we're online, X orders from us from time to time. That's great. We've boosted our turnover. But actually, we'll just sit back and wait till the customers come to us. We're online now. No, that's not what you have to do. You really, really must use that data and drive it. And building a huge database of customers who, yes, have come for the first time to Sasha's site, but because of lockdown, how do you get them back a second time? How do you get them recommending to their wider circle of friends and family to actually check out Special Kids Company? You'd be amazed what they do. How do you drive that? Well, it takes effort, it takes skills, and it takes some resource as well.
Sasha talked about her time on the Aston Small Business Growth Programme, where you worked with her, of course, Mark, and she describes how this drove her towards delegation, outsourcing and automation. How else does the programme guide entrepreneurs?
Well, I think it's across a whole range of areas of running a successful and growing a successful business. Obviously, we do stress. I mean, a lot of these businesses are micro when they come on to the programme. I less than 10 employees, but what we try and do is say, look, if you want to grow your business, you've got to get the experts built around you, whether you're on a contract or a freelancer, as opposed to taking them on board as an employee. And it's about getting, the biggest constraint to growth is the founder entrepreneur, because they do not want to let go. We know this over the decades when we look at, the successful single founder businesses and how they grow. Being able to let go, being able to let that baby, which is pretty apt in the case of Sasha's business, to let that baby sort of outgrow itself and, develop is really something very difficult, which is why the majority of businesses in the UK remain micro. This is one of the UK's biggest problems. And it's quite unique, actually, when you look at similar developed economies across the world. We have a problem. We don't have a problem starting businesses. We have a problem getting them to break out into that larger, space that they need to play in. What is it they don't want to let go? They won't delegate. So the program, we spend a lot of time saying, look, there's so much you can do in your own business, so far you can take it, but at a certain level, you need to then embrace it. And Sasha's given some wonderful examples, getting the skills into your business that has enabled her to be in the right position to respond to a crisis. Now, no one wants the crisis, for goodness sake, but her business was ready to respond to the changing demands of consumers. And that's an important lesson for all business owners, whether it's B2C or B2B. If something changed dramatically, that shock to the marketplace, how well is your business able to adapt quickly to what's happening out there? Sasha was able to adapt because she already had the systems and the people around her that were able to work with her to deliver the growth that she's now been achieving since the start of the year.
It was certainly very interesting hearing how she did that and how parts of what she learnt on the Aston Program for Growth helped her. Mark, many thanks for joining us on today's podcast.
Pleasure as always, Steve. Thank you.
Yes, a big thank you to Mark Hart, Professor of Small Business and Entrepreneurship at Aston Business School, and to Sasha Radwan, the founder and director of Special Kids Company. We'll be back soon with more case studies of how businesses are adapting to the pandemic and with more crucial analysis and advice from academics and experts here at Aston. Aston means business. SMEs adapting to COVID-19 challenges. Thanks for listening.